Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. On today's video, I'm going to be reviewing and giving you my thoughts on a brand new ultra marathon running shoe by Mount to Coast. It's their R1. Now before I get into it too far, I do want to get a disclosure out of the way. The R1 by Mount to Coast was sent to me for the purpose of review. However, no one's paying me to make the video, no one's telling me what to say, and no one from Mount to Coast has an opportunity to preview my thoughts before I share them with you first here on YouTube. And if at any point in time during this video you might want to learn a little bit more about the R1 or maybe pick up a pair for yourself, I'll put a link in the description below, take you right to it on their product webpage. It's not an affiliate link. It's simply a matter of convenience for you. Now the R1 is a neutral road shoe. It retails for $160 US. Now I did buy mine true to size and they fit me perfectly. For a US men's size 9, which is what I wear, these weigh 8.5 ounces or 240 grams. So I'm going to start and talk about the upper first. It is a double layered jacquard mesh upper. And you can see it's got tons of perforations up here in the toe box, which make them highly breathable. Now those perforations aren't just in the toe box. They also extend along the side of the shoe all the way back basically to the heel counter. As we take a real close look at the upper, you're going to see that there really aren't any plastic overlays. They kept it pretty simple. They do have their Mount to Coast logo there, and then they also have the Mount to Coast logo located on the other side of the shoe as well. But basically, they kept it simple, and I do appreciate that. They're very comfortable right out of the box. They do have this seam about mid-foot. Now, the seam is there, you do notice it, but it didn't cause me any kind of problems or concerns. There was no hot spots. It didn't make any kind of discomfort for me when I was running in these. It's just something to take note of. Now, the seam is covered up by the gussets of the tongue, and we'll take a closer look at the tongue gussets here in just a minute. They do have a nice wide toe box. I love that. There's plenty of space for me to be able to splay my toes, which make these super comfortable, and they were very comfortable right out of the box. I can tell you, I have had no comfort issues in these shoes at all. The upper, I think they did a fantastic job on. All right, so let's take a look at the lace enclosure system. Now, this is what they call a TunedFit lace enclosure system. It's a dual lace enclosure system, and by that I mean it has two different types of laces. At the start of the lace enclosure system, they have what I'm calling this bungee or stretch tile laces. They have definitely some stretch to them, and that allows you to be able to dial in that fit up in the forefoot of the shoe. And then on the top half of the lace enclosure system, they have a more traditional lace there that allows you to get locked down across the midfoot section. Now this is an ultramarathon shoe made to go the distance, so runners are going to have these on their feet for a long period of time, and over time when you're running, your feet are going to tend to swell, and having the stretch laces up there in the forefoot of the shoe allows the shoe to become accommodating to your feet, so that as they swell, you're going to still be comfortable wearing them. Or if you want, because it is a kind of a quick system, you can always make adjustments on the fly pretty easily. Now, when I've been wearing these over the last few weeks, once I set the lace enclosure system up here in the forefoot of the shoe using that stretch material, once I've had that adjusted, I really haven't made any changes to it since then. The only time that I've really made any kind of changes is just dialing in that fit more towards the midfoot section of the shoe. These do have an extra eyelet in case you want to run with a runner's knot, which I do. 99% of the time, I'm running with a runner's knot. And it did a really good job there. I think it's just something worth pointing out. Now the tongue is well padded, but it's not overly padded. So I didn't feel the laces cutting across the top of my midfoot at all. So I think they did a really good job with the tongue, and it is gusseted. It's gusseted on both sides of the tongue, which means that it's not going anywhere. I didn't have any issues with it migrating around. It also has a pass-through loop here that also helps keep it in place. It probably didn't need that, but I think it looks nice. It has an R1 on it, so it looks sharp, and it does help hold the tongue in place. Now, the padding around the heel collar and the tab of the shoe is more than adequate, especially for a race day shoe. Lots of padding around here, and it's what I'm calling, or often call, a pillow style padding. It rests mainly up around the collar of the shoe, and there's lots of padding back here for your Achilles to rest in. Again, no comfort issues at all. It creates a nice heel pocket because the padding somewhat tapers down into the foot bed. So you have a nice heel pocket for your heel to sit in. And I didn't have any kind of issues with any kind of slippage, either side to side or up or down. My heel got locked in really well. And I think in part because of the lace enclosure system style that they have here, but also that padding with that nice heel pocket just sits really nice. And also the heel counter is pretty stiff. Now they have lots of material back here, so I'm going to put it up on my shoulder, which I like to do, and I give it that pinch test to just see how much material or how much structure is back in that heel counter. And so I'm going to pinch that together, and you can see that I'm putting a lot of force on there, and it's really not collapsing inward at all. And we can go this direction too, and you can see that, you know, I have to push on it quite a bit to be able to flex that heel counter. So they did a really good job in terms of the amount of structure here to help hold your heel in place. I really enjoy the fit of these. I do feel like my heel got nice, locked in, and secure for all of my runs. No issues at all. Now they do have, and I like to point this out from time to time, a removable insole, which I think is really nice. It also has, when I run, I'm just running, printed up here. I like that, and I live by that philosophy. When I run, I'm just running. But it adds, you can see how thick that is, so it adds a little bit of cushioning to your run experience. And it's nice to be able to just pull these out, throw them in the washer, wash them up, and put them back in your shoes so you're good to go the next time you want to go out for your run. Okay, so let's talk about the midsole. The midsole is what I often refer to as the engine of the shoe. Now, for Mount to Coast, they have what they call light cell foam. Now, this is a PIBA hybrid foam. It's nitrogen infused, which makes it a supercritical foam. For me, there was plenty of energy return. Now, it's not the type of pop that you might get in some of these super trainers that are out there, or definitely a carbon plated shoe. But for a shoe that has nitrogen infused foam, I felt like I got plenty of bounce, plenty of energy return for me, especially on those longer workouts. And I'll talk a little bit more about that here in a second, but let's talk about the stack height. So these are not a max cushion shoe. Okay, so they're not a max cushion shoe, but they have plenty of cushion to get you through even your longest workout. Remember, these are designed for ultra marathon distances, so anything over 26.2 miles, these are going to do a really good job in keeping you comfortable the entire time. They have 35 millimeter stack height in the heel and 27 millimeters up in the forefoot for an 8 millimeter offset from the heel to the toe. I absolutely love it. They have a super consistent ride to them that's very comfortable and very smooth. Now, as I flip these over, you can see that they have an insert here. Now, this is what they call a zero sag insert. The material that they're using was developed in a collaboration with the automotive industry, BASF, that has used the same type of material in their suspension systems. Now, the idea is that this is going to be a bit more dense, so it's going to help maintain the integrity of the foam, the supercritical foam, to continue to provide that energy return that you need, especially in those latter miles. Now, it is a bit more dense material, and just to kind of demonstrate for you, I'm going to use my thumbs to compress that midsole material, and if I compress above it, you can see that my thumbs, they compress that midsole foam pretty easily. But when I focus on that zero sag insert, and we're going to use my thumbs, and you can see that it's a bit more dense material, and then back behind it, it's again a bit softer, that supercritical foam. So the idea is the more dense zero sag insert is going to continue to provide or maintain the integrity of the energy return that you're getting from the foam, even on those long runs. So I think it does a really good job, and I have been using this shoe for all different types of workouts, including today's workout, which is going to be a recovery run. I'm going to do right after I finish with this review. But I've had it out on easy workouts, as well as doing some interval or speed work, and on my long run days. And it's always a consistent, fun ride in the R1. If we look at some additional features of their geometry of the shoe, you can see that they have a really wide landing platform up here in the forefoot. It does snug up here a bit in the midfoot section, and then gets wide back here in the heel. So you have a nice wide landing platform, which make these a really stable ride. Now, in the heel, they have a slight heel bevel, think that makes a really nice transition, makes it easy, especially if you're a heel striker, to transition in your gait from your heel to your toe. And you have what they call go flow geometry of the shoe, which is designed just for that purpose, and that's to maintain the integrity or maintain your stride as you move through your gait cycle so that you can keep your heel tracking properly with your toe off. So let's take a look at the outsole. Now, it's not a traditional rubber here, but I think it's doing a really good job. And remember, I have 140 miles on these, or 225 kilometers. And while there is some wear, and you would expect to see that after such great distances, it's holding up really well. So I think durability-wise, they're going to be just fine. However, if you are concerned about durability or you want them to be even more durable, Mount Coast is coming out with another version of the R1. It's the R1R that is going to have a rubber outsole material other than what they have here now. But they're holding up. And I think it's kind of neat. If you look closely at the tread pattern is their logo here. So I think that's just kind of a fun thing that they did. But again, it's holding up really well. So let's take a really close look now at the upper and the midsole and the outsole. And what I'm looking for are signs of wear, because remember, I have 140 miles on these, or 225 kilometers, and I want to see how durable these are. I can tell you, I've looked this upper over, up and down and all around, and it's held up extremely well. There's no signs of wear. There's no rips or tears. So I have no concerns at all that this upper is going to last and be really durable for you. Now, when it comes to the midsole, yeah, there's some creasing, definitely some creasing. You can see that in that midsole material, but you would expect it after so many miles, especially around some of the areas where the flex point is. So if I take and I push on the toe of the shoe until it flexes, you can see that there's a little bit of creasing here, and there's a little bit of creasing back here as well, but nothing that I'm overly concerned about. These have been a consistently smooth and comfortable ride from day one right out of the box. There is some wear, and you can see that especially on areas that's not covered with that outsole material, where it's got a little bit of wear there. But again, nothing that I wouldn't expect on a shoe that has quite so many miles in them. And the outsole material has wore down some, especially in my high impact areas. And for me, I am typically a midfoot striker up to my forefoot. I've been working hard on being more of a midfoot striker. So you can see a little bit of wear on areas where I am striking the ground and on areas where I am toeing off. Overall, I'm really impressed with the R1 by Mount to Coast. Yes, it's a great race day option if you're an ultra marathon runner, but they're a highly versatile shoe and shouldn't be overlooked as a daily trainer that you can do all of your different workouts in really comfortably. I think for me, that's where they really shine. I've been using these for all of my different workouts, and they've performed really well. Even on my speed days when I'm picking up the pace, yes, they don't have that pop necessarily off the toe that you might get from a carbon plated shoe, but they are a very consistently comfortable ride. They have a nice upper that I found really, really comfortable. I love the width up here in the toe box and how breathable they are. They're lightweight at 8.5 ounces or 240 grams for a US men's size 9. And I think they're really reasonably priced at $160 US. Overall, I can highly recommend the R1 by Mount to Coast. Hey everybody, thanks for making it to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it for you. As always, run tall, run strong, be kind to one another. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.